Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the new storyline Miranda card to try out today. This is going to be a Bundesliga left back card, Spanish. You know, we got some cool link ups in regards to that. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and see how he plays in game. Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking a look at a card that is 6'1" with medium work rates, left footed, 2-star skills, and a 3-star weak foot. In regards to traits, he does not have any traits. He has 87 acceleration with 92 sprint speed. Shooting capabilities are not necessarily there, but he does have 96 attacking positioning. So if you use a card like this on balance instructions in the fullback position, you should expect him to utilize empty space from time to time. In regards to passing abilities, the passing abilities of this card is actually quite solid for the fullback position as well, except for the fact that his vision is pretty low, but not necessarily a huge deal, to be honest, because passing in FIFA is very generic anyways, right? Like, as long as he can make those outside passes with his left foot being his strong foot on the left side, then shouldn't necessarily be a huge problem there. In regards to dribbling, it's something that, I mean, it's tough to say, right? Because with dribbling at 78 agility and 79 balance, but then, you know, your reactions, ball control, dribbling, and composure are at decent stats, it could be an okay in the it could be an okay thing in the fullback position. But he's kind of giving me like Xabi Alonso vibes, right? You're looking at a player that's tall, you're looking at a player that could potentially be physical, so the dribbling might not be super responsive. But obviously, with fullbacks, you want them to be as good defensively as possible, especially with a card that is on the medium work rate. So a couple variables to consider there, because with a card like this, you know, you could potentially give him an engine chemistry style to give him the +5 for acceleration and +5 for sprint speed, with a +10 for balance, +5 for agility. Then you'd be boosting his reactions, ball control, dribbling. Composure at 80 for the fullback position is perfectly fine, because, you know, his defensive stats, while being 6'1", is pretty solid. It's not necessarily fully ideal, but it's not necessarily that bad either. I actually feel like with the basic chemistry style, if you were to get the +5 for acceleration instead of sprint speed, it would have probably been better over there. But it is what it is. We are going to be trying him out on basic to see what I want most in the card anyways, right? But defensive stats for base card stats are looking really nice. So again, with the shadow chemistry style, boosting his acceleration by a +2, or not by a +2, excuse me, by a +12, as well as his sprint speed by a +7, while, you know, essentially making his defending perfect, would be really nice. In regards to physical, he has 72 strength with 92 stamina. I feel like body type is going to be a big thing that I have to see in game. Hopefully he's not a massive dude, but hopefully he has a similar body type to Xabi Alonso, because that would be the most ideal situation. He has 92 stamina, so again, that with the attacking positioning that he has is going to be a super noticeable thing. So obviously with fullbacks like this, we have to try them out on the balance instructions to see how they're going to perform in game. My dude actually has a sick team. He has so many untradables and tradables that are just like, he's the type of dude that has like fun using different squads, and I always appreciate that, right? So in regards to how we are going to be using this team in game, I don't want to actually completely mess around with this team in particular from him. So we're going to go ahead and copy the team over here, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using our normal 4-2-3-1 just to be able to test out this player, right? So I do want to use him as a balanced fullback in a 4-2-3-1 system, so I'll show you guys exactly how we'll line up with that. We'll be using balance, 5 and 4, 5 and 4, with the instructions on balance for both of the fullbacks, because we want to be able to experiment with both of them pushing up. The rest of the team, I don't really care with how they are lined up in general, because I just want to test out Miranda in this squad. So yeah, we'll be using him in a 4-2-3-1. It would be a very similar situation to a 4-1-2-2. In a 4-1-2-2, they would actually attack more, because if you don't have strikers that like to push to the sides, obviously the fullback will utilize the side positions more often than not, right? It's very interesting with how this guy does SBCs, because he doesn't actually trade in any of these types of cards. Like, when he does an SBC, he keeps it. And this is exactly how I would like to play the game in the future, depending on how EA were to set it up. So fair play to this guy, and he's an absolute monster. So let's get into a game and see how he plays. Okay, so let's see what he's like under pressure with the L trigger shield. He is actually pretty tall in game. Dude, his left trigger like dribbles are actually really nice. Not bad at all. You can definitely feel him being a little bit sluggish in regards to his agility and bounce being kind of low. But defensively, when he lost the ball in that situation, off the ball wise, he was actually defending quite nicely. So again, that's gonna definitely be a super noticeable thing with a card like this, is the fact that his dribbling is not necessarily super incredible, but you can definitely compensate for it really well, because, you know, I've used the players like a flashback Alonso, and it wasn't necessarily terrible to use, but that sluggish feel that he has might not necessarily be ideal to. So in my opinion, to make him more usable, it might be more ideal to give him the engine chemistry style and not necessarily boost his defensive stats, because again, his base card stats for defending is actually quite solid, but that movement in regards to transitioning left and right, getting into the right positions to defend nicely, you know, you want to be able to do that really smoothly with a card like this. I'm actually going to switch to the 4-1-2-1-2. Like, obviously, Neymar is the type of player that always consistently moves on a consistent basis, but a 4-1-2-1-2 will allow me to kind of judge Miranda a little bit more because of the way that he's going to be moving off the ball. So we'll just have everything on balance without touching anything else. We'll just have him on balance instructions. Now we'll see how he utilizes the side positions. It's better to see that with a 4-1-2-1-2 than a 4-2-3-1. Like, obviously, those players cut inside, but you gotta experiment with that anyways. Ooh, lovely little dribbling there with Evander. I love gameplay at 12 o'clock at night. It's so much different than it is during the daytime, man. It's actually insane. Yeah, height in those situations is always going to be super ideal. I don't know, man. With a card like this, it's interesting. Like I said, you could totally give him the engine chemistry style, but I feel like you're compensating too much if you give him the engine chemistry style. Like, I really feel like with a fullback, you want to make them as good as possible defensively, but again, an engine would improve that dribbling part on the card. Yeah, so you can see that his attacking positioning in situations like this is very, very noticeable. He does actually stay up there. So what we want to see now is, because he's chilling up there, I want to see what he's like pushing back when we lose the ball in a situation like this, where you can kind of see him at the bottom side right there. So with medium work rates, I don't even know why I have the ball right now, to be honest. There we go. Okay, so you can see him at the bottom right there. Medium work rates. We don't give him any defensive boosts. Yeah, it's not too bad, to be honest. Not bad. I want to keep experimenting with it, though. I need to see the consistency with it, you know? His tracking in that situation was actually quite solid. I do expect that at the very least from him. I like players. Okay, here's a big thing with fullbacks. I like fullbacks that track backwards, because sometimes fullbacks just kind of like stay upwards, and it just allows you to attack that empty space in behind. So it's good that he actually tracks him in that situation. We score that opportunity with Richarlison as well. Richarlison's an absolute monster, so... Yeah, the dribbling part will always be super noticeable. I'm not going to trigger anything right here. Yeah, you can see that he actually makes those aggressive runs right there. Let's switch off of him here. Push this guy forward. Medium work rates, you can see he's not a runner, right? So he kind of like jogs back. Now he starts to run. He doesn't run earlier. He starts to run a little bit afterwards. Fullbacks that are really good, guys, in regards to tracking after players when they have higher defensive stats, they run instantly, right? Players like Alex Telles does it, like, instantly, right? Yeah, so with a card like this, it could be a combination of medium work rates. It could be a combination of defensive awareness not being high enough on the card as well. So it could be something that you may want to improve in regards to, again, giving him the shadow chemistry style to improve his defensive awareness. But like I said, the dribbling part on the card is not necessarily going to be ideal. That situation right there, he actually went back into position quite quickly. So it's gonna seem like a 50-50 thing with him, I think. But I do have to try out like 3 or 4 more times. I'm going to force him to make a run right here. There we go. Play with these guys over here. Okay, so we'll lose the ball like here. There we go. And then we'll switch off of him. We'll take this guy out of the left back position. So you can see him here. He's jogging. And then he'll start to run right there in the middle. He starts to track the other player while my center back or CDM starts to occupy his position. But he's not like super slow in regards to coming back in position, right? And his stamina is obviously being drained because we keep attacking with him. But it's not going to feel like a high work rated player, right? In regards to how he runs back. Ball roll, touch to get the reaction out of the goalkeeper. Bam. Alright guys, so final verdict with this card, there's a few things to talk about, right? So, because of his 6'1" height and his high and average plus body type, his dribbling does feel very sluggish in game, and that's definitely going to affect you in regards to transitioning left and right defensively as well. So, you know, because his attacking positioning is at a 96 with 92 stamina, I personally feel like you have to give him the engine chemistry style, because if you're going to be using this card on balance instructions in the fullback position, you want to make him as responsive as possible while playing on the sides, while also giving him the pace to be able to defend situations really nicely, as well as giving him a passing boost too. So, you know, it could be ideal to give him an engine. You know, that's one way of looking at it. If you want him to be more defensive oriented in the fullback position, obviously the shadow chemistry style is going to be very ideal, because giving him a plus 12 for acceleration, 7 for sprint speed, as well as essentially perfect defensive stats could be really nice as well. But there's also another way of looking at this card, right? Because of his medium work rate, 6'1" height, and high and average plus body type, on 7 chemistry, if you have like some sort of Spanish team or Bundesliga team where you want to make him your center back, even though they have thousands of center backs in the game that they've released so many SBCs and content for, just take a look at his stats on 7 chemistry with the shadow chemistry style, right? So you could see that you essentially almost make his pace perfect while also increasing his defense as much as possible. So, you know, in game, let's just say for instance, I feel like a card like this could actually make a very good left center back in a 3 at the back formation. So if you plan on using this card in that way, he could be very good, because dribbling stats like this and the center back position is incredible. It's just not necessarily ideal for the fullback position because of the way that you want to open up space, right? So I mean, it's still a good card in his own ways. It really just depends on the situation of your team. I know that most people are going to be getting these cards for fodder and whatnot, but it is incredibly usable in his own ways. I just wouldn't recommend using him in the left back position without the engine chemistry style. But if you give him the engine chemistry style, he may not be as good defensively because of his medium work rate. So you have to keep him on stay back while attacking, even if you give him the engine chemistry style, in my honest opinion. So hopefully you guys enjoy this review today. I'm going to go ahead and review the American dude. I think his name is Savvy, and we'll take it from there. Peace out, dudes. Love you guys.